On Biz Today, we are commemorating female founders and experts. And so in our previous segment, we had female founder Darlene Menzies, who's founded two distinct key offerings for the SME market. That's SMEZ and FinFind. And of course, you know all about it, and we'll cover it a little bit more about it later on in the show. But now we've got a female expert in studio. She's also the chairperson of the Durbin Chambers of Commerce Women in Business Forum. Now, this was conceptualized as a tool to motivate, educate and empower women in business in KZN. The objective is to actively advocate for and promote the economic interests of women in KwaZulu-Natal, starting in Durbin and surrounding areas. It exists for the purpose of accelerating real economic empowerment of women in this region, and the aims of the Women in Business Forum is to provide a platform for all women formations in KZN to come together and address issues of common interest in one voice. And we've got Vani Moodley in studio, who is the chairperson of the forum. That's part of the Durbin Chamber of Commerce, and she's going to tell us more. Welcome to Biz Today, Vani.
Thank you, Nazareen.
So wonderful to get you in studio. We've been trying to communicate with the Chamber, and we've got you now here. I know you're doing a fantastic job there, so thanks a lot for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. It. Now, first, let's kick off our conversation. Tell us a little bit about Vani Moodley and about your business.
Great. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mother. I'm a training and development practitioner. I train entrepreneurs, trainers of entrepreneurs, leaders and managers globally.
And your business, how did that come about?
Well, I have been in the SME development sector for the last 23 years.
Right.
And after performing leadership roles in NGOs, I decided to found and run an NGO called Vuga Uzatate, an Institute for Gender and Economic Development, for 8 years.
That's based in KZN, right?
That's correct. That was based in KZN, and it no longer exists. As we all know, funders have their focus areas and they go through cycles. So the emphasis on women and economic empowerment moved to HIV/AIDS and home-based care at the time. And it was at that point that we decided that we needed to get into business, doing the very same thing and basically selling our services at market-related rates to agencies that would be interested.
How long have you been running this business now?
For 9 years.
And what's your business like on a day-to-day with your staff complement? What's your staff complement like, the challenges you face?
I don't employ staff. I work with associates. So I need people at a specific professional level in order to facilitate and co-facilitate training interventions. So it's far more cost effective to engage them on a project basis. And absolutely. So that's the basis on which I operate.
I'm glad you explained that in that way, because we speak with a lot of entrepreneurs and then the experts who come in to talk about a certain initiative. And it's nice that you explained your business model, because I think sometimes aspiring entrepreneurs, we all have to start somewhere. And you think you need a whole team of staff, but actually there's various ways of engaging people to be able to work a project or to deliver on something.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool that you mentioned that particular type of business model. Now, you're a successful entrepreneur, and I know of you. I've seen you speak at various functions and head up a lot of different organizations or particular initiatives. So I understand your role that you're playing. But as a business person, how did you first start engaging the Durbin Chamber of Commerce? Because it's the go-to place for business people in Durban.
Absolutely. We've actually become, or we became members of the Durbin Chamber whilst running the NGO, whilst at IBEC, actually, Independent Business Enrichment Centre, which was a national organisation with a base in KwaZulu-Natal. And of course, Vuga Uzatate, when we founded, we realised that in order to spread the purpose of the organization and the vision, and to encourage more women entrepreneurs to become involved in the organization, we needed to join the chamber. So I think I joined the Small Business Forum some 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
20 years ago?
20 years ago. And of course took a break for a long period because you have many other roles and emphasis, and one was the chair of the Businesswomen's Association in Durbin and so on. So it's been a very interesting journey with the chamber, and of course I've been a member of the chamber as Vani Moodley and Associates since inception. It most certainly is the go-to place to meet people, like-minded people, people who would enhance your enterprise, people whom you could network with. It's certainly a very powerful and robust platform for networking. The types of programs and initiatives run through 26 different forums is just amazing. And most certainly haven't come across another chamber in KwaZulu-Natal that offers the variety of services and the consistent agenda that the Durbin Chamber does.
I think before we go on to the mandate of the forum, I have a question that just quickly popped into my mind is, how is the chamber different from other trade organizations or entrepreneurial organizations? So there are various women organizations, for example, for entrepreneurs to come together, network, share ideas. But would you say that the chamber is sort of a supporting mechanism for these kind of organizations?
Absolutely. The original idea in the formation of the Women in Business Forum was not to be a direct service delivery agent necessarily to women entrepreneurs only, but to create a platform to be the voice for women by bringing on board various organizations involved in the Women in Business sector.
A lot of collaboration then.
Absolutely. So sitting on our committee, we have representatives from various women in business organizations, including the Businesswomen Association, KZN Women in Business, KZN Women in Midlands, SAWEN, and there's an Mshlanga Professional Women's Organization as well. So, and that committee is consistently growing with the various organizations that there are. So the idea is not to replicate what other women's organizations.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand so well.
So we support and collaborate with the organizations. We support their events and functions, and we use these organizations as a medium of communication with women entrepreneurs. When we publish the Women in Business Directory, for example, the call for applications to become a part of that directory is sent through the women's organizations. And of course, the conference, the Excellence Awards, there's many joint projects that we host with various organizations. So the idea is to basically offer real economic development.
Real economic developments, and also highlight the opportunities or the other resources available to women. So you're providing it from one platform. You're the chairperson of the organization.
That's correct.
What is, I know we touched on this slightly, but what is the mandate of the forum?
Basically to be a platform for a coordinated voice of women in business, and hence the structure of the committee. We also host forum meetings that's open to the public, and of course powerhouse events where they become structured workshop kind of interventions focusing on various areas to do with women.
Are you not talking about the activities of the forum?
That's correct, yes. So basically our role is to bring together the corporate sector, the public sector, and business to facilitate a PPP approach and partnership, and of course provide information on the opportunities, procurement opportunities, also create a platform for the BBBE codes of good practice, because you have many private sector clients saying we don't know where to find the people that we're supposed to in order to comply. And of course the emphasis is to move the whole concept of the BBBE codes of good practice from compliance to growth, and we can achieve that with structured platforms of this nature.
So some of the activities, if we can go back and just list them so we have a clear idea in our minds, some of the activities of the forum include, you'd have the networking meetings.
Correct. We have the workshops and interventions of empowerment interventions of that nature. We have training, mentorship and coaching for directed at women in business. We have categorized our interventions for training, mentorship and coaching to the three different groupings of women: senior women, and these refer predominantly to women-owned enterprises and women in executive positions within corporates. We have, for example, a board-ready program that we're currently negotiating with IODSA, to be funded by the Department of Economic Development. And of course, we are looking at placements on boards thereafter, and mentorship and coaching. In addition, we have the Rural Women's Project. This is a partnership with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and it's been concluded the first phase has been concluded for 2015 already. It will be followed by mentorship and coaching, which we've actually got one of our partner organizations, KZN Women in Business, to basically provide that support to the rural women.
It's a win-win. Be a delivery partner in that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they would lead it and we would support the process. One of the challenges is that they want to become a more representative organization, and they've struggled with that for a long time.
Right.
And we thought in supporting the organization to facilitate that diversity, get them to be responsible for the mentorship and coaching of the Rural Women's program that we have brought together. And that's coming together very, very nicely. So added to that would be industry exposure, where we would take the entrepreneurs or the rural women into the specific industries that they have decided to operate in, and expose them to what's going on at a larger scale in that particular industry, and that's for their own mapping and so on. I think the other important thing is that we're very clear about sustainability, and a sustainable and intense intervention that would basically move people from where they are to the next point to achieve growth. The reason for that is that many interventions stop after the training. This not only included mentorship and training after the first intervention, but we decided to negotiate with PwC that same group of women come on to year 2's training instead of bringing on board a new group of women in order to facilitate that.
The incubation period seems much longer, but obviously tighter.
Exactly.
And the skills are then you sort of increasing that skill base or that knowledge base, is that
Absolutely. And it gives you a more structured approach over a sustainably long period of time to facilitate sustainability of the enterprise.
Okay, so you talked about access to markets as one of the benefits. I would think it's one of the benefits of being part of the forum. What are the other benefits to women who come on?
Well, there's one more project that I haven't spoken about, and that is the youth project. So our target here is young graduates. Very many of them, as we know, are sitting at home with degrees and diplomas, unemployed, cannot find opportunities for internships and for employment. So we are looking at clusters, and currently we're looking at the motor vehicle industry. There's some 19 outlets who are very keen to basically take on board young graduates as interns. One of the other challenges that these companies experience is that they can't identify the right people in the general public.
And so you're helping to be a bridging partner of sorts.
Exactly, because moving women into junior management, senior and executive management is becoming a challenge for organizations, and we are able to provide this assistance. So mentorship and coaching is combined with this intervention from the Durbin Chamber whilst they're serving their internships. If they don't get absorbed by the industry, we take them back and try to place them
elsewhere. What are the types of businesswomen, I would say, or maybe the types of business and the stage at which they're at, that you'd encourage them to join the Chamber's Women in Business Forum? Or are you encouraging aspiring entrepreneurs with an actionable business idea to come in and join?
Absolutely. People join the organization irrespective of the level of business they're at.
That's very encouraging to hear.
Absolutely. From idea phase to people who have been in business for 20 years to medium-sized enterprises and of course corporates. So we're able to identify and support the needs of everybody in business.
Okay. It would seem then that based on the kind of membership you have, and I've just heard you explain this also, you have a varying number of stakeholders that you work with.
Absolutely.
So who in the private and public sector do you partner with? The type of stakeholders you would partner with on projects?
Well, everybody.
Yeah.
And I think being a Chamber of Commerce in the Durbin area, we have the leverage to partner with anybody that we need to for specific purposes.
Your particular ones on the projects at the moment?
At the moment, we've partnered with BMW Otto Schlanger. We've partnered with the Department of Economic Development. We're currently talking to Transnet Capital. eThekwini Municipality has been a very strong supporter over the many years. Nedbank, ABSA, these are all companies that have been involved with the BWA over many, many years.
So I'm
the Durbin Chamber.
The Durbin Chamber. But the BWA is obviously one of the women organizations that is on the, I would say,
committee.
The committee or partnering to help the platform go forward. Absolutely. Because my understanding, again, I just want to see that we have this right, is that the Chamber's Women in Business Forum will help congregate women organizations or any other type of organizations dedicated to the same vision, I would say, and help women to be able to play in that space. Absolutely. Because you're providing the skills of being confident in business, your access to markets, trying to look for the right type of funding, connecting with other people. So I think it's a space in which I'm trying to also think of other chambers around the country. Are you partnering with them? Are you working with them?
Yes, we have a joint venture with the Lembe Chamber. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of joint projects with the Pietermaritzburg Chamber of Commerce as well. Sure. And we have a relationship with the Zululand Chamber, but not with the Women in Business Forum at this stage. Okay. So we have close collaboration with the various chambers.
Are your sister chambers around the country now in South Africa? Do they run initiatives of this nature, and are you able to partner with them on that? Because we've got viewers all over who are trying to understand, well, I don't know if my chamber is doing the same thing. How can I find out? But what would your advice to them be?
Absolutely. I think their best advice is go to your chamber to find out what specific initiatives they have for women in business. And
in the rare occasion, which can't be ever, that they don't have something, would you encourage them then to fast track that process, is to, just, I think, go to their chamber and say, well, I've got this idea, why don't we go ahead?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure chambers would look forward to somebody coming forward and saying, I have this idea, can we go through a process of setting up a forum, a Women in Business Forum? And we're very happy to help them do that. It's just that our reach is Durbin and surrounding. Okay. So in terms of our relationship with the South African Chamber, that is our area of focus. Okay.
I think my other thought process I'm going to is, I also want to understand, if we're members of the Women in Business Forum at the Durbin Chamber of Commerce, would we have access to international trade that's possible through your various, I know that the Chamber is very, very set or has very strong connections with sister cities or municipalities around the world. And you're able to have these trade exchanges or trade programs where businesses can go across and experience the diversity of some other economy.
Absolutely, we do it all the time. And tomorrow we have the Lahore Chamber coming through from Pakistan. So we host these events all of the time, and members of the chamber get access to these events, and they come in as guests. We also set up business-to-business networking sessions on request.
What have been some of the most successful stories you've had come out of the forum in your time as president, or that you've heard of? I mean, you've been part of the chamber for quite a while now.
Absolutely. There's various, I wouldn't know where to start. There's been lots of export initiatives. There's been sister city relationships that have been taken to different levels, from technical skills development and support to linkages with specific entrepreneurs. With the trade missions, there's always ongoing relationships, new relationships being established. And I myself, at one of these events, met with training providers from, I think it was Denmark at that time, and we were exploring a relationship of them entering into the country. And of course it becomes very difficult when they want to bring their materials and especially if we do have those kinds of materials available. So these are the kinds of conversations that we do have. We do have capacity to develop materials within our own country in most areas, and it is only those that we seek or we have gaps in that we look for outside assistance to outsource to. So these are some of the things that we're constantly looking at and negotiating, and there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Of course there is. I don't think there's a better country in the world than South Africa to be operating in at the moment as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
I do feel that. I have a passion around that. But my final question to you is, what are some of your words of advice to female entrepreneurs, both aspiring and women in business, who want to join the forum? If you're based in Durbin, please get in touch with the Women in Business Forum at the Durbin Chamber and register. You've heard all about the benefits. But my question then around is, anywhere else in the country that you're based, or wherever you are based, to go and seek out help from your chamber? What are your words of advice to women in that position?
Absolutely. I think the most important is to be persistent. Interestingly, I read a statistic this morning by an organization called GEDI. GEDI. Gender Enterprise Development Initiative, or something like that. And they basically talk about 69% of the female population in the country have some form of business operation or the other at some level. I thought that was a very, very interesting statistic.
That is very interesting.
So chambers are open to people at all levels. Even rural women are welcome from the type of intervention I just shared with you about. The Women in Business Forum and our area of focus. So it does not exclude anybody. I think it's important to engage with people who are already in business, to seek advice, mentorship and coaching. Don't be afraid to fail, because you can only fail forward. One doesn't repeat mistakes, especially if you lose real money. You learn. It's a hard learning experience, but it is a very powerful learning experience. And being persistent means continuing even after failure, meaning that don't give up if the business doesn't work out. You try again and try again. And if you look around you, the more successful entrepreneurs are those who have failed over and over and again, because those lessons are just absolutely outstanding compared to any lecture theatre, any person that you could get advice from, that personal experience. So perseverance is a very, very important component. Do not be challenged by the types of problems that you may experience in accessing finance. And my question is always to entrepreneurs, do you really need the money? What are the other sources that you have?
Because absolutely. Take your resources and repurpose them.
Exactly. It's easy to play with somebody else's money. Why don't you risk your own? Because you'd make sure you'd protect it a lot better, on the one hand. On the other, start small. We all have big, beautiful dreams, but we have to start somewhere, and start with what you have and build it. It makes for stronger lessons, and you grow with the business in terms of your own experience. Remember that when you go to financiers as a startup business, access to finance is extremely difficult. And of course, the first thing your financier is going to ask you is, do you have offtake agreements or letters of intent?
That's right.
Because you have to show market security before you can even apply for a business loan. So these are some of the challenges that most entrepreneurs experience. Although one may say that women experience different sets of problems to that of men, I think in terms of business, it is very similar. The additional challenges experienced by women is that of being a mother, a wife, a sister, a child,
raising a home, exactly,
running a household and running an enterprise, because this balancing act takes away a lot of time.
It does.
And challenges the
skill
many
in
roles.
itself to be able to balance that.
Absolutely. So if there isn't a supportive environment, one needs to negotiate that. So don't underestimate the power of family support in becoming a successful entrepreneur. There needs to be a coordinated effort from the entire family in order for this business to grow. Very often women grow at the expense of their relationships because of being in business. And if you look at very successful women entrepreneurs, predominantly they are single women.
Mostly. You're absolutely correct in saying that. And you just reminded me, and to wrap up quickly, you reminded me so much of an example of the PepsiCo CEO, Indra Nooyi, who talked about her experience of landing a new promotion right at the very top executive level. She rushed home very quickly to tell her family about it. Her mother was living with her at the time. And she rushed home, got out of the car. Mother comes out of the home. She says to her mother, great news, she shares it with her. Her mother says, well, there's no milk. You need to go and get milk. But my husband's at home. Why didn't you send him? Well, he came home. He was very tired. And it's your job to know what's in the house and what's not. And she realized at the end of it, because Indra is an Indian woman, and of course the cultures we come from dictate or demand that you also will raise your home as well as you raise a business.
Absolutely.
And she had to buy the milk. She had to go and buy the milk after a very long day at the office. So I love your example, and I love the words of wisdom you've left us with. Because while we commemorate women, we also understand that we can make it in business, and we have a responsibility not to blame men about the failures that we have. I think that's quite important. That's really important. And so I'm very pleased we got you on the show today as the chairperson of the Women in Business Forum at the Durbin Chamber. I think you're doing a fantastic job. So we're hoping to get you back at some stage to talk about the newer initiatives that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us, Vani. This is Vani Moodley, chairperson of the Women in Business Forum at the Durbin Chamber of Commerce. If you want to know more about your Chamber of Commerce, just do a simple search online, check if they have initiatives for women in your particular area or industry or province, and just get going. You don't know how much that particular environment is going to help you get your business go forward. When we come back, we'll look at your diary of events and also some new exciting software that I've found online that I think is going to be good for your business. Okay, so I hope you have your notepad and pen at the ready. Take down some of these great events coming up. These are generic events, obviously, so they happen every month. You can put them into your diary, go and visit their websites, and make sure that you have them in the calendar so that you can get your networking game going, you can connect with the right people, and open yourself up to possibly the best opportunities you could have ever dreamed. Now, let's check the first one out. Pitch and Polish competition. What is this? So the Pitch and Polish platform is designed to give local entrepreneurs the opportunity to have their ideas brainstormed, tested, and challenged. And isn't that nice? So we don't want any lazy thinking. We want your thinking to be challenged so that you can see beyond every opportunity you have and beyond every obstacle you have. Through the course of the day, entrepreneurs receive valuable feedback and insights and win cash prizes. The format includes both a workshop and competition element. Now, it is very much a lateral thinking national business competition, so it would expose would-be entrepreneurs to entrepreneurial training and thinking and help entrepreneurs to turn their business or business idea into success. It is a unique platform and searches for the wonderful hidden entrepreneurial gems in South Africa. And this particular initiative is sponsored or powered by Race Corp, and this year Engine has come on board to sponsor Pitch and Polish. The round one has already happened, so we've already had quite a few of them happening across the country. Port Elizabeth, Durbin, Middelburg, that happened. Then we've got Mpumalanga on the 5th of September, Clarkstop also in the same time frame. Saturday the 12th of September, Cape Town. They'll be coming to you. Round 2 winners from round 1 will compete on Saturday the 3rd of October, Bloemfontein in Free State. Then the 10th of October, East London, Eastern Cape. 17th of October in Rustenburg, and then there's an SAFM Wild Card Edition. Now, I'm not going to give you too much. You can go to pitchandpolish.co.za to get more information, but the finalists from the round wildcard will go on. It's just dates that's going on in October. If you want to register, please go to pitchandpolish.com, that is, not .co.za, that's pitchandpolish.com. You can also SMS pitch and your name and your city to 45901. But the last time I spoke to the lady, I think it's Bronwyn Eckhart from Race Corp, she said to me that we can actually just SMS the word pitch to 45901. They will call you back and you can register very easily. Okay, let's move on. Startup Grind Durbin happens every month. There is also Startup Grind chapter in your city. So go to startupgrind.com. Simply search for your region. Go and check out when the various events are happening. It's a great space and to be able to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs. The format of that particular event is that it's an evening event. It's pretty much about 2 hours. You go in, you pay a standard fee, which is very, very minimal for what you are getting in return, the value that you are getting. I know that a lot of the chapters serve refreshments afterwards, so it's a nice chance to network and speak with other people over a small bite to eat and something to drink, but it's a fireside chat. So they get a successful person from the place that you are in and they talk to them about their challenges. And yes, we are not the only ones who struggle with sometimes thinking, how will we pay for coffee when meeting another person or a potential client, or you don't have enough money for petrol to get from point A to B to another client. So please go to these sessions. They really fire you up to know that you're not alone in your challenges. And another space like that is the hookup dinner. The hookup dinner we've talked about on the show previously happens every month. Go to the hookupdinner.co.za to get more information. And that's pretty much about it for this week. So when we come back next week, we will bring you yet another successful entrepreneur And we'll talk about the current business topic of the day and give you even more ideas to become the best successful version of yourself that you thought possible. Also remember that I host a radio show. It's on Radio Al Ansar. You can find it 90.4 FM Durbin, 105.6 FM Pietermaritzburg, or live stream for everybody else around the country. That's www.alansar.co.za. So if you've missed anything here on the show, we can always catch up on my radio show. Thank you for watching Biz Today. I'm Nazareen Ebrahim. Goodbye.